Hey everybody, we've got a few more people showing up. We got about 4 more minutes, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Hello?
Hello, we hear you.
Okay, I'm
Hi,
just
Stella.
my computer and not my phone. So you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Now you can still hear me?
Now you've got an echo.
Okay, how about now?
Perfect.
Yes. I told my husband I had that and he said no. Cool.
Oh, you're here today.
Should we talk about some really important things like when I can get a haircut next?
I think you should go heavy with the product and see how big it gets. Go big. Let's see it.
Well, if you guys could see my hair, but it doesn't look like my video's working. I actually know a salon owner and she got me in while we were still closed, so I'm happy.
Ponytails are okay, right? Nobody will know.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. I would just want to welcome everybody to our first ever virtual open house. Um, so welcome. Let me see who all we got on here. Let me see everybody. All right, we've got Tammy. How you doing, Tammy?
Oh, hey, Tammy. There you are.
So one of the things that we really wanted to talk about today, we wanted to introduce ourselves and introduce the rest of the team. And this isn't everybody, but we wanted to show you, that there is a team behind OAA and what we do. Um, and we wanted to really talk about kind of what's going on in the industry, um, what we see as happening with everything that's going on, and how we see kind of the future, whether changes in the market and whatnot. Here at OAA, we've really been at the thought forefront from the beginning of COVID until now. Tony Caldwell, our CEO, has co-authored a book about running your agency during COVID, and has really been a thought leader in both the Insurance Journal and other trade publications, really on leading the discussion on how the industry responds and how as agents we respond within our agencies. So I'd like to turn it over to Tony Caldwell to just kind of discuss the state of the industry and what his thoughts are and what we're going to see next after this. Tony?
Hey, thanks, Mitch, and sorry to be on the call. I think we have a bunch of guests. If you have video, turn it on, and so we can all see one of them. If you don't, it's fine.
Tony, your volume is cutting in and out really bad.
All right, let me make it quick.
See if that doesn't. All right, hopefully that's better. Is that better? Okay, good. All right, thank you. So if you are on the call and you have a camera, turn it on so we can see. If not, we'll just have you join us by audio, of course. I want to make sure everybody knows that there's a chat feature down at the bottom. There's a little thing called chat, and you can send a chat to anybody in the conversation or to everybody. And so what I'd love for you to do right now is if you have questions about that you'd like to ask me or anybody else about COVID, its direction, what it's going to do to the economy, what maybe will happen as a consequence of all of this to the insurance business, please just type your questions. I'd love to try to answer those as I visit with you just for a little bit. And let me just start by saying that, as Mitch mentioned, I co-authored a book that was released a couple weeks ago. And if you don't have a copy of it, if you'll see any of us, we'll get you one. It's COVID Proof Your Agency, and it's available. Actually, you can just go straight to covidproofyouragency.com and download a copy. The book really gets into what we knew at the time we wrote the book about the direction that the economy was headed in, and what positive things that agents could do, whether they are a captive or independent agent, whether you're in personal insurance or commercial insurance. There's some things that you need to do right away. And of course, that was in April. We were all really busy kind of catching up with things. Now there are things you need to do to prepare for what appears to be a long slog. You know, the mayors and governors across the country are beginning to open up. And I've noticed, and probably you have too, everyone's getting pretty tired of being at home. And it's since the deaths haven't reached as high as we thought they would, probably because we were at home, people are beginning to get antsy and wanting to get out and do things. The question will be, what is the consequence of that? And obviously the health folks are all saying that they think that's going to cause more severe problems for a longer period of time. Whether it does or not, everyone seems to be in agreement that COVID-19 is going to be with us probably for several years. It's going to be one of those diseases that perhaps will be impossible to create a vaccine for. You know, the SARS virus came out in 2002. It was the first acute respiratory virus like this that we'd seen in the world. So really, some people are actually calling COVID-19 SARS-2. 18 years later, there is not a vaccine for SARS, and so there may never be for this. So Tammy is saying she's getting spotty audio, and Tammy, hopefully it's better now. I changed my microphone and I've got it as close to me as possible. So just bear with us. One of the things that we all have to deal with sometimes, and I'm on a Wi-Fi connection, is that sometimes that's just not as good as you want it to be. Anyway, so we don't know that we'll have a vaccine. We don't know when there'll be effective treatments for the disease. And so it looks like two things are going to happen over a period longer than any of us would like, certainly through 2020 and probably into 2021. The first is that we're going to be having some kind of social distancing, even if it's more relaxed than it is today, and that we very likely will have another wave of coronavirus, particularly risky in the fall, I think. So it's important to prepare your business to operate in periods like this, really for a while. And so, we've done that, and our coaching team has been working with our members to help folks do that. But moving on from that, we did what we call a SWOT analysis, a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, both on our business, but also just on independent insurance agencies in general at the beginning of the crisis. Updated it, in fact, about a week ago. And we have a lot of strengths coming into this. And in the first place, no one in our business is seeing really immediate reductions. In other words, restaurants, they're completely out of business. Insurance agencies are still getting cash flow because of policies written in the past. So that's a great strength to have. Agencies that have been in business for a while tend to have pretty good balance sheets, which means they've got money in the bank and they can make it if they have some downturn. That's a nice strength to have. The threats to the business really are coming later this year. As people go out of business, the premiums go away and the commissions have to be paid back. If they stay in business with lower payrolls and lower sales, the audit premiums on the commercial lines policies mean that you have to give back, carriers give back premium and agents give back commission. Renewals will be at lower rates. And then to top all that off, given the narrow range that we operate in for profit sharing, a lot of agencies won't see profit sharing in 2021. Those are immediate threats. Longer term threats really come in the form of the fact that insurance carriers, they're taking big reductions, particularly in commercial lines and premium. They have to cut expenses. And so that means that they are going to have fewer people in the field. They're going to try to cut back on agent compensation if they can. And that threatens particularly small agencies, agencies that don't have millions of dollars of premium volume. One of the things that is a real benefit to OAA members is that we're one of the largest production organizations in the United States. And so if carriers decide to cut agent commissions, as they have in the past, we'll be the last people they come and talk to about that. But it is a threat for agencies in general. One of the really big threats, if you're an existing insurance agent, is that most agencies, once they've built a book of business, go into maintain mode and they lose their skill and their hunger and the fire in their belly to write new business. And so their growth tapers off and they don't write a whole lot of new business. You lose those skills when you don't do that. And so new business is going to be critically important in the face of what I think will be anywhere from 20 to 40% income reductions for a typical existing independent agency. If they don't get out and sell new business, they've got a problem. The flip side of all of that is there's tremendous opportunity. Baron Rothschild, a 19th century banker, said, buy when there's blood in the streets. And he means that there's always opportunity in crisis. And so there are tremendous opportunities. I don't know of a better time to start a new insurance agency because new insurance agency owners are, if anything, they are really focused on marketing and selling new business. And those are two skill sets that are really going to be in high demand over the next couple of years. Both commercial clients and personal clients are suffering income loss, and it's hitting them, financially in all kinds of ways. They have an imperative to reduce their costs. And so there's never been in my lifetime a better opportunity to talk to a business owner or an individual about quoting their insurance to save them money. They've never been more receptive. And so starting a new agency, that's what you do, is you're out there selling new business, and you don't have the costs and the overhead structure that existing people who've been in business for a long time do. So there's a tremendous opportunity for new businesses. For existing agencies who want to dedicate the time, effort, and resources to redeveloping their marketing capability and their sales capability, it's also, there's a tremendous amount of opportunities. I was on the phone yesterday with one of our longtime members who is about a $3 million revenue agency. And he's very aggressive in new business sales. And I just happened to mention to him what a real opportunity life insurance is going to be over the next few months. People's interest in life insurance has never been higher. And today he's already generating emails to their client base to talk about life insurance. So if you have that kind of entrepreneurial drive, you'll do really well in an environment like this. And our members are really fortunate because they have not only our growth coaches, but our entire team is focused 100% on growth, and we are able to put tools in people's hands very quickly. And so I'm actually very excited. I think I got an email earlier this morning from Jim Masiello, who is the chairman of the of the SIAA, who said that nationally, our new member recruitment is actually running ahead of our best year ever. And what that tells me is that lots of folks like you are seeing that this is the opportunity that they've been looking for. And they're moving ahead and joining master agencies. We, I think, have added 8 or 9 new agencies to OAA just in the last couple of months. And, we're really excited about that. So we're actually looking for our best year ever. If that happens, and I believe it will be our 21st best year ever in a row. And so that's the point at which, and I say that not necessarily to be boastful, but to say this to you, life is what you make of it. And my business coach, Dan Sullivan, has made the comment over and over again in the last 30 days that this is the times like this are when entrepreneurs really come into their own because they're not afraid. I mean, they live in fear all the time because they're entrepreneurs. And but this is the time they make tremendous progress. He was talking about 2008 when we had the last really serious economic crisis, and he said his average client in those days had their best quarter, best 90 days they'd ever had coming out of that crisis because they went to work and got prepared. I know lots of business people starting new businesses, new ventures, new add-ons to their existing business. We're in fact doing that at OAA. And so, if you feel like you're maybe odd because you're thinking about starting a new business right in the middle of the most uncertain time in the last 75 years, it just means that you're wired differently than other people. It doesn't mean that you're crazy, because you're not. It just means that you're the kind of person who's wired to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. So let me talk just for a minute about how then, based on the SWOT analysis, how I see and some of the things I see that will happen in the property and casualty industry over the next year or two as a consequence of this. So the first thing is back to insurance carrier needs. They're losing, I'm going to estimate, around 20% of their income in 2020 due to workers' comp, general liability, and other reductions. If you think about your business, either the one you're thinking about creating or the one you have today, if you lost 20% of your revenue, you'd have to make some expense cuts or do something extraordinary to make up for that, and they will. And the first thing they're going to do is try very hard to keep all of the business that they have. And so they're going to be very reluctant to raise rates. And one of the things that has driven a lot of agencies' success over the last 10 years are rate increases, first in property, then in auto. And they were, we were entering a hard market in commercial property this year, which I think that's all going to stop for a year or two. I think carriers are not going to be wanting to lose market share by taking chances with rates. So I think they're going to work really hard to keep the clients they've got. That again is bad news if you're already in the business, because your built-in raise is going away. it's not a bad thing if you're out there aggressively competing on business, because people still they're not going to be upset about rate increases. They're just going to be upset that they don't have enough money to pay all their bills. The second thing is that that I think is very significant is that as carriers look at how to reduce expenses, they're going to be taking a very hard look at what they call aggregation. So organizations like clusters and many companies that all they do really is aggregate premium. They put a bunch of people together, help agents have contracts and get profit sharing with lower volumes. Those are going to be threatened, because if that's all the carrier gets, they've been tolerating it, but they won't be able to tolerate it in the future because their margins are at risk. We're not an aggregator at OAA. We're a company that focuses on building sales volume and growing organically, and our organic growth rates are so strong that the aggregation piece of what we do is really a minority piece to it. So I'm not at all worried about our business model, but I do think there'll be a lot of business models that get into trouble over the next year or two as carriers make really tough cost decisions. I think small agencies are also somewhat at risk. Carriers have tended over the last few years to allow companies to have contracts at $150,000, $250,000 of premium volume, where historically they wouldn't do that. And historically they didn't do it because it cost them too much money to service those small agencies' books of business. I think that's going to be a problem because carriers have to reduce their expenses. So I think small agencies are going to be faced with potentially losing some insurance company contracts. Again, that doesn't affect our members because we're usually the largest producer with all of our carriers, but it's something to think about. The other thing is just in general. I mean, I don't think any of us know whether we're going to have a U-shaped recovery, a W-shaped recovery, what does all that look like? And in this part of the world, we still don't really have a good sense of what the oil and gas cratering is going to do to us, other than I don't think it's going to help us. I think it's going to tend to make the recovery longer in this part of the world. So I think we have to settle in for 2 or 3 years of understanding that it's going to be tough in business in general. The forecast for the gross domestic product for the United States is that it will shrink. It shrank 4.8% in the first quarter based on 1 month. Really, they forecast a 40% reduction in the second quarter, and then everyone hopes it gets better. But what will happen, even if it does get better, is that business people and consumers are going to come out of this very, very conservative in their spending habits. And they're going to be wanting to pile up some savings and cash in the bank. And so insurance is a big, easy, and to some degree in their minds, controllable expense. So I think that consumer shopping behavior and business shopping behavior is going to see a lot of looking for options. Again, if you have a large book of business that you're trying to play defense on, that's a risk to you. But if you're in business and you're going after that, then again, as I said earlier, the opportunity has never been better. My guess is that even if COVID goes away pretty quickly, we're going to have follow-on economic effects that impact everyone for at least 2 or 3 years. And so there's this window of opportunity that can be taken advantage of by people who are aggressive and ambitious. Irrespective of whether in business now or just coming into business. If you're already in business, you have to play a little defense, but that doesn't mean you can't be very aggressive on offense. If you have nothing to protect because you're brand new to the business, you have an opportunity that really is unprecedented to go out and talk to people. We have a new member in Arkansas that started in the middle of March. So literally opened their doors as this whole thing was kicking off. And they are just tearing it up. They're on the phone all day long talking to people who are at home and saying, hey, can we help you? Could we help you save some money right now? And almost 100% of the people they're talking to are having them quote their business. And they've got a really high conversion rate. So that's the kind of opportunity that in one way or another, I think is in front of us for a couple, 3 years. So I'm actually tremendously excited. I mean, I'm not excited about the people dying. I don't want to be sick. I don't want any of you to be sick. I don't want to say I have to go through any of that, but setting all that aside and taking care of that as well as we can, then you just have to say there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. I have a new book uh, uh, called The Uncaptive Agent, a couple hundred pages, pretty simple, but really focused on helping people think through how to create their business correctly, how to start it properly, and then really how to grow it rapidly. And it's a book written for primarily new agents like yourselves, but it's also, I think, has a lot of value to people who've been in business for a number of years. In fact, some of the early reviewers of the book are people who are members of ours, been members many, many years, who said they learned things that they were going to be able to put to use. That book comes out in June, but we are going to have pre-publication copies available for you if you don't already have one. I'd encourage you to read it because, not because I wrote it, but because it's full of questions to ask yourself, checklists to use as you think through building the business right from the foundation all the way up. I think it's a great complement to what we do with our agency growth coaches, what we do in our agency foundation program, what we do in our training organization that puts on mastermind classes and other classes, all the time. So, but it's just a really good tool, and it's free to you. And so let me just say that's the last point I'll make, and then I'll stop and see if anybody has any questions, is that the last great advantage that COVID-19 is giving to each of you, is giving to all of us, is the advantage to escape what has traditionally been one of the biggest limiters of the local independent insurance agency, and that's geography. Traditionally, if you couldn't get in front of somebody within a reasonable amount of time by driving, they just weren't a very good prospect for you. And that's completely gone away. For years now, I've been talking about the day that's coming where we have face-to-face conversations like we're having today, where that's commonplace. We have had in our office for several years now what we call a telepresence robot. People can come to our office, drive a robot, around, see everything, participate in meetings as if they were there. We make a lot of use of video conferencing, but it really was something that many people were uncomfortable with or weren't prepared or equipped for. And it took a crisis like this to create capability on the part of almost everybody to have these conversations, and then also a comfort level with doing it that way. So, but that's happened now. And so what does that mean? Well, the first thing it means is that you are no longer restricted in terms of hiring employees to your local market. And sometimes that's a problem. We have had a tough market for insurance professionals for many years. Now you can recruit people literally from anywhere. As an example, Leon is in California, in the Central Valley. I'm on the California coast right now. We're separated by several hundred miles, but he and I are separated from you by over 1,000 miles. Doesn't matter. We have employees in 5 or 6 cities in 4 states today. Local independent agencies can do the same thing, but an even bigger opportunity is to sell insurance that way. There isn't any reason anymore why somebody can't do business with somebody anywhere and build relationships. You can do it on the phone, but there's something magical about face-to-face. Today, with the Zoom and all the other tools like it that have become overnight commonplace, geography is no longer a limit. And so I expect to see many of our members really broadening their reach. We have agencies that are located in small communities. I remember years ago, I had a lady in Southern Oklahoma drive me around after lunch, and we got back to her office and she said, I just wanted you to see what I have available to write in my town. And, her view of her marketplace was her little community. I tried to point out to her that, well, she could, certainly have a bigger marketplace than that if she wanted it, and there were ways to do it. But today, it's going to be commonplace. And so it's a great opportunity. It's also a threat because there will be agents that do this. And if you're not aggressive about taking care of your clients, more people will be shooting at them from further afield. So it's a threat, but it's also a gigantic opportunity. So anyway, that's kind of how I see what's going on right now. It's what I see for the future. And I think we're really well prepared for that. Our chief learning officer just finished moving all of our early onboarding. We spend several days with each one of our new members, intensively working with them to get them prepared to get started. And we've moved all that actually in January to an online platform. So we were really well prepared for this to happen just by, we're doing it for different reasons. We had no idea this was going to happen, but it just happens to be that it worked out that way. We were already conducting a lot of our classes because we're operating in California, Arkansas, Kansas, and Oklahoma through the web. So we already had some skill sets there. So what I'd say to you is that, wherever you are, and no matter how long this social distancing lasts, we're well equipped to help you in any way that you need it, person to person and directly, with anything you need to have in the way of assistance getting your agencies off the ground. And that's what we do. So with that, I'll stop. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be delighted to answer them, or we'll move on to the next thing. So one nice thing about chat, by the way, is, hopefully you guys can all see that, is, you can send a chat, you can send a message, you can send a question, and you don't have to raise your hand, or, you can be anonymous if you'd like. So as long as we're going along, if something comes up you want to ask about, just stick it in the chat and somebody will get back to you. So thank you. Mitch?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Tony. Can everybody hear me okay? I was having some mic problems earlier. Great. So I wanted to introduce myself, the leadership team, and the team around us here at OAA. One of the things that you'll find with us is we really do have an amazing team. And I may be a little biased, but we have an amazing group of professionals around you that support our members. So my name is Mitchell Brown. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. I spent about 15 years in the Army, 3 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan. I was told I couldn't play anymore, and they retired me at, I don't know, I was 32 or something. That's way too young to retire. So I got in the insurance business, and I started on the carrier side and the wholesale side, and I worked in a smaller aggregator for a little bit. And then I wound up on the retail side, where I was the vice president of sales for an agency. We were about 200 million in premium in PNC, predominantly commercial, but about 20 million in personal lines, based out of Houston. We had 6 offices and 36 total producers. So I left there in January 2019, and I came here to OAA. One of the things I really enjoy is helping agents, especially beat the big guys. I mean, that's just one of my, I really enjoy taking business by BORs. Like, if you want to talk about BOR in an account, I get pretty excited. So I love helping members do that. I love helping members work on things that they didn't think they could before. We have a really strong commercial presence in-house that can actually help agents who aren't as familiar with commercial move into that and go after larger accounts. And as Tony talked about, this is an amazing time to go after some of these accounts. These are accounts that normally wouldn't shop. And it's an amazing time to get some of these accounts to talk to you. Next, I'd like to introduce, and I'm going to go through and introduce some people. We're going to go through them real quick, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to let them really talk about their departments. Okay, and again, any questions you have, pop it up on the chat, and we will make sure we answer it. But first, I would like to introduce our Senior Vice President of Accounting and Administration, Ms. Cindy Wheatley. All right. After Cindy, we've got Marcia Dewart. She's in charge of our agency development and Access Plus. We have Leon Caspian on here. Leon is our California recruiter Tony mentioned. I've got Amber Dutton. Amber Dutton is our Commercial Access Plus placement specialist. We've got LaDonna Mitchell, our recruiter in Arkansas. We've got John Kerbo. Big John's out in Tulsa. We have Karen Youngblood, our Chief Learning Officer. She's in charge of all that education we put together and making sure that it's delivered in a way that that you guys can use and adapt and move with. We also have Steven Silver, our agency growth coach for the Oklahoma City area. And we got Ryan McLaughlin. He's our agency growth coach for Tulsa, Arkansas, and Kansas. We have Melissa Hack. She's our recruiter here in Oklahoma City. I believe that's all we have on here with us. We also have Ashley Andrews, who works with Tony. So that's kind of the team here. Now I'm going to go with, I'm going to start with Karen. Karen Youngblood is our Chief Learning Officer. She came to us, has a master's in adult education. And what we've noticed in the industry as a whole is, you've got classes like the CIC, which you can go to. You got CPCU stuff. You got the carrier classes. And has anybody here sat through those? All right. So a lot of it becomes, death by PowerPoint. I don't know if y'all have sat through some of those. And adults really don't learn that way. So we brought Karen on to really revamp that and help deliver, not so much what they do, but deliver education materials to our members in a way that you can, a way that adults learn, right? This helps you and your staff. So Karen, can you go ahead and talk for a minute?
Absolutely. I'm so glad to see everyone. As Mitch said, I'm Karen Youngblood. I come with 14 years of higher education and working with corporations, so I understand both sides of the fence. What we've done at OAA is completely revamp all of our education. We have education from the very first day your employees come on. We have education that develops you over the life of your entire agency. And we have education that even as you're transitioning to, is it time to sell? Is it time to retire? Is it time to pass this agency along? We can take you through every single step, whether you're the owner or whether you're an employee or whether it's time to develop an employee. We have different stages and different opportunities available. Like Tony had said, we're moving more and more of our education online. So it's available either 24/7 or it's available in a Zoom format like this, where we lock it down and we have those in-depth discussions amongst your peers so that you can understand, I'm not alone in this. I'm understanding and they're understanding the same kinds of problems and how we're getting over those. One thing that we have for every single person in our members is called the Dream Factory and the OAA Academy. It's foundational knowledge. It's open to everyone. It's offered every other month. It's a benefit of being a member of OAA. We host it online. So that is a great class, and it's part of the agencies that come on and go through the foundation program. It's a requirement. So we get together every other month and discuss that. We also have in that same series, the Momentum Builders, which is once a quarter on the same days, and that's by invitation. And then when you've got to that upper echelon of either sales or years in service, we have Circle of Excellence. And that is a small group of agency owners that are talking through the difficult discussions that you wish you had someone to discuss it with. How are things really working in the agency? How can I reach out to someone else that's experiencing the same pinch points and the same pain problems? And how do we have that discussion together? So really great opportunities. One that we have every first Friday of the month is called Unfair Advantage, because we believe in giving you the unfair advantages to get ahead in your agency. Unfair Advantage is a fun group. We get together and talk about what are those things that you may not know or that you may not have honed or tried that give you the leg up on all the competition, because we believe in you and we want to support you with that foundational knowledge of how to get ahead quicker, faster, exponentially growth-wise. We also offer everything from a learning library to personal development to professional development, industry-specific learning. We know that the more that we can supply to you, the more that we can give you as a foundation, that you're not out there trying to recreate yourself, that you're not out there trying to find what is the best source, the better we are equipping you to be successful. So I could go on all day about education. It is definitely my passion, but lifelong learning is definitely what we are here to be able to support you with and excited about. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
We did get a message from LJ Bryant, so I'd like to, like we said, we'll answer these as they come across. So if everyone can't see it, he agrees with Tony about using the technology to do business anywhere and wants to start an agency focused on that. Wants to know what the best methods of lead generation will be. It's unlike traditional community involvement model of a local agency. I'll start, and then I'll let some other people chime in. And Tony, I think you've got some thoughts on this as well. We're actually working on a class right now. Ryan McLaughlin is on just that, on the lead generation for in this virtual environment, and he'll be teaching that I think in a few weeks. I think that this is it is unlike your normal community involvement, but it's still similar. So I would say in the commercial sphere, being involved in your client's industry is still going to be important, but that industry is going to be virtual, right? So being involved and being a thought leader, you're going to see agencies get really ahead on developing white papers or developing material to teach clients. Clients are going to want to be able to see you online and learn from you. So if you're able to teach or explain a coverage topic that may be specific to that industry, that's going to help you get found. That's going to help you get circulated, especially when it focuses on an industry. It's very hard to be a generalist in commercial, so you have to be in your target audience's industry. Tony, do you have any comments on that one? You're still muted.
Yep, I know. Here's the headline. I think the key to success going forward is to niche your business. Okay, be expert at it really deep with certain things. Whether it's focusing on writing wealthy people's personal insurance, which is a totally different business than writing normal people, or whether it's focusing on a niche of commercial lines business. It's very focused, but with a really wide net. Okay, and again, geography matters less than it used to. So, and it's very possible to have lots of niches. I mean, I built my book of business as a commercial insurance agent many years ago, niche marketing. It's just that I didn't have the ability to have the wide net. So, what Mitch said, I think, is right. You need to build a very strong online electronic presence. And then as you build an asset, you leverage it. So let's say you write a book, which frankly, writing a book is, I've learned, not that hard. So you write a book. Well, now the book is a podcast, and the book is also a series of blog posts, and then you can video about that. And you push all that out into the social media universe. Now, people all over the world can see it. People certainly all over the country can see it. So why not be prepared to sell insurance to whoever responds to you? Then you take the next step and you spend a really fairly modest amount of money to carefully promote those things on Facebook, LinkedIn, and the various other social media platforms. And so that people who are interested in that kind of stuff can find you. And then I'm not an expert at this. We hire people to help us with this, but it's very easy to find people online that are, really pre-wired to be interested in whatever it is you have to say, and then to target them specifically using social media. My wife, among other things, is a pollster, and you guys all see the what we call the horse race number in the presidential race. Somebody's got this much and somebody else has this much. that's really not what's very interesting about a poll. What's interesting about a poll is that what are women age 21 to 26 that have 2 children who live in a town of under 50,000 people who, work. And I mean, you can really, you can get so fragmented with data in terms of who you're looking for. And if you think about the whole state of Oklahoma, state of Arkansas, Kansas, or the entire region, or even more the country as your marketplace, I think building niches like that is an incredibly effective way to to build an online digital marketed presence. So there's more, I'm sure, but those are a couple of good suggestions.
Thank you. We've also seen some on personal lines where they went after the high net worth through boat dealers and marinas across the country. So again, what Tony said is exactly right. Working on those niches, making sure you are hyper focused on who your ideal client is going to be extremely important in this digital place, right? Because digitally, they still want to feel that connection. So putting a sign out that says "I sell insurance" doesn't work. Putting a sign out that says "I sell insurance to Karen Youngblood" makes all the Karen Youngbloods look at me, right?
Yeah, one last point I want to just make about this, and that is that we can help you develop a budget and think through how to put this program together, and then how to invest in it. There's a lot of ways to go get. If you have no money at all, then you just get a handful of business cards and go knocking doors. That's very effective. But if you want to do something like we're talking about, doing it carefully where you are making an investment that you see a return on requires some pre-calculation. And we have a lot of data around that can help people build a budget and say, all right, if I put $1,000 into this, and I get $1,000 back, was that a win, or is $2,000? And then how do I make sure that happens? So, we're helping lots of people do this, and if that's something that is interesting to you, we can do that.
Definitely.
I will also add, one of the things that I've been reading about is in the education field, if you're able to create part of your marketing campaign as you teaching something that happens to be in your niche area, like Tony was talking about, if you even put out small amounts of education, number one, it reinforces your brand as a subject matter expert. And number two, it gives your clients an opportunity to see that you're not just selling, but you're providing them with something that they can't get by themselves. They would have to go find the education, they would have to go do the resource, and it instantly makes a connection that customers then want to go another step with you. So you might think about, what are you really passionate about that you know about that you could put out small bits of information and education about and reinforce your brand.
Definitely. All right, so I'm going to continue introducing Marcia Dewart, as I said, is in charge of our agency development and Access Plus. Marcia, do you want to talk a little bit about it and introduce the people you have here?
Sure. It's a good transition actually to agency development and Access Plus, because what my teams do is focus on your growth and development. And we develop customized plans by your needs. So if you let the agency growth coaches know that you want to go after certain niche market, then they will help you develop the right strategy. And if there's some technology that you're good at or things that you need to learn, we customize that for you. So I've seen some interesting networks that people are developing. I've seen people host that they had contractors as their niche market. And I had a friend who hosted a roundtable of different contractors and let them invite other co-contractors that they worked with. And they ended up networking together, electricians working with builders and things like that, but he ended up with all of them as his client. So there's so many creative ways that we can work with you. And so as the agency growth coaches will do is they'll work with you on specific plans. But more importantly than that, our goal is to make you the most profitable possible. So we will guide you to work with our partner carriers and the right ones to fit your needs. We will help you overcome obstacles. We will help you with hiring and when to hire, getting the right staff, really getting your experience and backgrounds going. But we will help you navigate this new normal that we're talking about, with virtual proposals, with a lot of learning that we can do and really make it personal. Our Access Plus is our internal quoting system. Basically, we will think of us like a broker, where we will give you access to carriers, whether you have direct appointments available to you yet or not. You have access to every carrier that we have access to. And it gives you the ability to build a book with them. It also gives you the ability to leverage the Access Plus staff, because they can help coach and mentor you as well. We have exorbitant amount of experience in the independent industry now. Everyone on agency development and Access Plus staff has experience in the independent agency. So they understand you, they empathize and sympathize, but they also know how to help you grow and get the right resources. I'm going to let Ryan McLaughlin tell you a little bit more about the Agency Growth Coach and what they do.
Hi, everybody. Ryan McLaughlin, Agency Growth Coach with OAA, as Marcia said. I think she hit the nail on the head, just to say that we're all about helping you identify opportunities for the growth and development of your agencies. So that can be helping you to develop a strategic marketing plan, help you put together a producer compensation schedule, or processes and procedures, whatever it is that you guys need assistance with, that you think that you need help with, we're here for you. So we can cater it exactly how you would like. We can be as hands-on or hands-off as you would like. We're also the agency growth coaches, liaisons between the insurance company and you, to help them and you be as profitable as possible.
And to speak a little bit towards that profitability, John, thanks for bringing that up. One of the things that are a little bit more difficult for some newer agents to handle, or agents that come from a former captive, is the juggling, if you will, of the different carriers. Because if you get too many mouths to feed, you end up losing out on the profit sharing and the higher incentives and the commissions that they offer, and that OAA brings to you because of our size and our partnership with SIA as well. So Ryan and Stephen will really help you identify how to build that profit sharing on top of just not your book and your commissions. So that's a big plus. Then I'm going to let Amber Dutton tell you about Access Plus. She is our commercial line specialist.
Hi, I'm Amber Dutton. I have 15 years of agency experience and came to OAA basically because I loved the concept. And what we do is we take your orders and we quote with the appetite that's best for your submission. If you would like to get an agency code, you can let us know to go to a specific carrier, but otherwise we will talk internally and find the best market for your appetite.
Yes, and one of the things that Amber is really good with as well is when she gives you that quote, she will help you. It helps, especially when you're new to commercial. She'll help you understand what exclusions are there, how to sell this to the insured, really what's important to point out that's bigger or more important with this quote versus maybe the quote they got from another agent.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Marcia and Amber and Ryan. I will say a couple more things about agency development and Access Plus. One, of course, Access Plus has personal lines too. Ariel is our personal lines specialist and could not be here today. As you're transitioning to these standard carriers, and some of you are coming out of a captive and you're used to one carrier, now there's 20, 30, 50. I mean, there's 200 and some odd carriers out there, and they're all different. All their systems are different. What they want is different. Their appetites are different. And by the way, as soon as you learn their appetite, it's going to change. Right? I mean, they do it on purpose, right? You figure out what they want, and then they're going to change it. And that's what the Access Plus really keeps abreast and really helps you navigate and learn those carriers and learn what it is that they want. What is that standard business that Safeco and Travelers want? Why does that client fit better with this carrier than that? Why is this coverage important? Why do you need this endorsement? So they really help you work through those pieces. And the agency growth coaches, again, there's been great athletes throughout the world, and great athletes all have a coach. And almost every great business person I know has a coach. So these are your coaches to really help you in your business. And again, you're completely independent, right? You know, Stephen and Ryan is not going to come in there and say, hey, you know, I need 15 life apps this month. They're never going to say that. If you don't want to write life insurance, you know, that they're not going to pressure you for it. But they'll help you. If you want to put together, as Tony said, a plan on how to cross-sell your clients with life, they'll pair you up and help you get that done. But they're there to help and assist you and coach you where you need coaching on. They're there to help accentuate those strengths. All right. Now I'm going to ask Cindy, I'd introduced her, but I'm going to ask Cindy to talk real quick about accounting and compliance and what they do there.
Hello, everyone. The accounting department, I've been in the insurance industry for over 20 years. And our accounting department, one of the things I think that you would be most interested in is that we are, for example, the last 60 days have been very busy, very focused on processing local and national profit sharing and PMSF in order to distribute to our members. And in the last 60 days, we've processed approximately $3 million worth of that to go out the door. So that's one of our focuses all year round, but especially this time of year. It's a lot to do, but it's all to everyone's benefit. So another thing that the accounting department will help with is your Access Plus codes, your book of business when you're ready to move to a direct appointment for your carrier. Will help get that book of business moved. Will also help with your book management and watching the thresholds that we're wanting to make sure we're making the best profit sharing percentage that we can. And so you might hear from us if we identify that we need to probably write business with a specific carrier, if at all possible. And then we will also reach out to you monthly to just see how things are going. So you'll actually hear from us on a monthly basis. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
Thanks a lot, Cindy. I also wanted to introduce Ryan Mobley. He wasn't on here earlier. We're actually, live streaming this across multiple platforms. And Ryan is really running our marketing. So all of our social media, all of the graphics you see, all come from Ryan. So I wanted to introduce Ryan. We also have a video studio in the office that when we're not all social distancing is open for members' use to help shoot videos for your own marketing piece. So Ryan, can you talk a little bit about video marketing and what it is you do at OAA and how that can help support members?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Mobley. I don't have 15 years of experience in insurance, as you can tell by how young I look. But I am, almost 30. I'm getting there. So I've got a little bit of experience in life. I've been doing marketing for myself, whether it's been bands or DJs or film festivals or whatever, for probably the last 5 to 10 years. I started at OAA back in August, primarily as a videographer. I have since taken over our marketing. My primary focus most days is getting that content out on LinkedIn and Facebook for you guys to see, editing Tony's video vlogs. I'm sure you guys may have seen some of those. And again, running the video studio, as Mitch said. Whenever we're not social distancing, we do have a in-house video studio with green screen and cameras and lights and everything you could possibly need to make a video or make a commercial or do anything video-wise at all. I would suggest using video marketing in your marketing plan. Video is the most consumed content on the internet today. Probably somewhere between 70 and 85% of all content on video is consumed at all times through video itself. So if you join, then that studio is open for you so that you can make videos yourself and have people consume that content. Again, most of my time is spent doing social media. So if you have questions regarding how to get stuff on social media, how to build that SEO, which means search engine optimization, how far you're up in the Google list, I'm always available for questions and stuff regarding that as well.
Great, thanks, Ryan. So I want to talk a few more things, and then I want to open it up for some Q&A. First, I mentioned that I came over here from a large retail shop, and I want to talk about a little bit. We mentioned unfair advantage in that class I teach, but how and why I call it the unfair advantage. As all of you who've been in the business know, that large agencies have unfair advantages, right? They have all the carriers. Carriers do things for them, it seems, that they don't do for everybody else. And, they just seem to somehow be one step ahead. Well, part of it is the contracts, right? The large agencies have these contracts where they get higher commissions. They'll get 20% where you're getting 10. They get more profit sharing. You're not getting any profit sharing, and they're getting 5 or 6 points. So that's pretty cool. By joining into SIA, you instantly become big, right? You instantly get those contracts. But then how do you use it? And I want to tell a quick story. When I was at my last shop, as VP of sales, I also kind of ran the house accounts. And the house accounts had been there a long time and didn't really need much. But if they got into trouble, then I would usually, talk to the client. If someone was trying to take it, I would go out and smooth things over with the client. And we had it wasn't for us that large of an account. It was probably close to 50,000 in total premium. It was a nonprofit. We had it 30 years. It had never moved. Been with the same carrier almost the entire time. We actually had BOR protection from that carrier, so no one could take it from us unless you were really big. So the Lochtons of the world could take it, maybe Gallagher could take it, but at 50,000, that's a little small for them to go after. So it was really on autopilot. We didn't have to do anything with this account. All of a sudden, I got a BOR in that some agent named, what was his name? It was something like Phillips Insurance or something. It didn't sound like any of the big guys that I knew. It didn't sound like Gallagher or Brown and Brown or Marsh or Lockton, right? So I was pretty upset with the carrier. I'm sorry, his name was Les Eller. So I said, I called the carrier and I was like, hey, who the heck is this guy? And he says the guy's name and BOR'd it. And I said, well, I got BOR protection. And I said, well, who is he? He's like, well, he's with SIA. And I said, well, what the heck are they? And he said, they're like $8 billion in premium in the insurance journal. It's like, oh, I guess my 200 million is not that big, right? So then, I was just shocked that I got beat by a smaller agent was able to take it. And why were they able to take it? Under normal circumstances, I had the unfair advantage that you could not take my account. But by joining into us, you now have that same unfair advantage that those large agencies have. And I really found that powerful, right? That this one-man shop was able to take that away from me. We had, 6 or 7 million in premium with that carrier. That was probably his biggest account with that carrier. And they had to let it go. So just, that's some of the power of being behind it. Now, we can you get the contracts, right, by joining, but the rest of the unfair advantage is how do you use those contracts? How do you use those contracts? How do you grow your agency? And that's what these growth coaches, Access Plus, that's what this whole team is about, right? When you look around at the team, we are definitely not a one-man shop. This is a lot of brain trust that then gets to stand behind you. One of the other things that I had growing up in the retail side is I had a man down the hall from me named Tom Francis. Tom Francis had, I think he used to claim 30 years plus insurance, but it was probably more like 40. He was one of the original instructors for the Certified Risk Management program, so he went all over the world teaching the CRM classes, all over the country. Wrote some of the first captive programs wrote some, captive work comp programs in the 80s, just a really smart insurance guy. And when I had a problem, I could go to Tom. He was right down the hall. When I didn't know how to do something, I could ask Tom. On smaller agencies, you don't have Tom. But you do have Amber, and we have Lily, and we have Marcia, and we have a whole lot of people here who have done a lot. And that to me is one of those other unfair advantages that you can have by joining us. I really appreciate your time and everyone coming here. Just like to open it up for any quick questions. You can hit us on the chat or unmute yourself. And again, you can email us, email your recruiter. Tony, did you have any words before we get off?
No, I just want to say thank you. Appreciate all of you taking the time to be with us. And if you have things that we can answer for you as they come up, please let us know.
Thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate you spending your time with us. Have a great day.